The Earth. The Earth is far more special than you might have first thought. An easy thing to point to is Creation Week, which describes 6 major transformations and events in Earth's history. More specifically, 13 spread across 6 yoms, or in English, days, driven by natural processes and controlled by God to inform all generations of the creation story, so it leaves out a lot. One of the things it mentions is that God fine-tuned the Earth's atmosphere on the 2nd day, and he transformed it on the 4th. It misses out, however, that one of God's main methods of achieving this miracle was through plate tectonics and plants. Plants removed a lot of carbon dioxide, responsible for the formation of crustal rocks on the surface, which could freeze the planet, and replaces it with oxygen, the main component of the ozone layer, which protects us from ultraviolet radiation. The plate collisions drove surface carbonates deep underground and transformed them into carbon dioxide and water, which was returned to the surface by volcanoes. Because of this, the Earth escaped a permanently frozen fate, which would have happened because carbon dioxide reacts with the atmospheric water to form carbonic acid. This acid falls onto the ground and forms carbonates, reacting with crustal rocks. This shows how important the movement of plate tectonics and volcanic eruptions were for transforming Earth, so it would have an atmosphere which could support advanced animal life. Another thing required for advanced life survival is the right atmospheric thickness, because if it were too thick, then no light can get through. Clearly, the moon is one of those things which God has made with very clear intentions. He wanted to keep his early life safe from harm until Earth could do it alone, referring to the magnetosphere. Earth provides a lot for life, simply because of its position in the solar system. There are many different habitable zones as well, but the 3 which are most interesting and impactful are water, tidal, and photosynthetic. It's also worth mentioning that the planets like the gas giants play a crucial role in protecting Earth from harmful debris from the various asteroid belts in the solar system. All the planets play a part in stabilizing Earth's rotation speed and orbit along with each other's, which is crucial, as if the orbits were not circular on a horizontal plane, there would be a gravitational tug-of-war, which would distort Earth's rotation and orbit, leading to catastrophic seasons, natural disasters, and temperature differences, which all impact that vital plate tectonics mentioned earlier. Creation Week briefly describes, or more so hints towards, the Earth, Sun, and planets have been designed to unfathomable degrees for human habituation. But Earth is not the only planet necessary for our survival. As I mentioned earlier, in fact, all of the planets in our solar system play a crucial role in the part of our survival. Other bodies like the Sun and the asteroids are also crucial, even on a larger scale, the entire galaxy. The Milky Way, like the Sun it houses, is surprisingly unique. Its shape, rotation speed, and Earth's placement within it has been meticulously designed so that humans can exist. The most obvious thing here is shape. The Milky Way is not just a spiral galaxy. It's a symmetrical spiral galaxy, with a central bulge not too big nor too small. Elliptical galaxies contain ancient stars and limited resources, with star formation occurring early. Not enough heavy elements in the right diversity exist there. Furthermore, the stars are so closely packed together that long-term, stable planetary orbits are impossible, and those are essential for life. Irregular galaxies are too chaotic to have the support of stable planetary orbits, and small galaxies lack the elemental abundances required for life survival and creation. These chaotic galaxies also have no central bulge, but instead an active nuclei of stars which spews out deadly radiation at fatal levels. Only a symmetrical spiral galaxy of the right size, age, bulge size, structure, and rotation speed can support life. It is the only type of galaxy which can house the perfect location for life to exist, where it won't get bombarded with fatal radiation doses or knocked out of orbit. As you can see, the shape of a galaxy is crucial for the right molecule formation. If the bulge is too large, then there will be too much radiation, and too little radiation if the bulge is too small. It also has an effect on the heavy elements production and distribution. To conclude this point, the Milky Way galaxy is perfect for life. The right size, the right bulge, right shape, right rotation speed, and right location to house our solar system. To find just one out of the 2 trillion galaxies with these features is close to 0. What shrinks the chances even more, however, is that you need the just right universe altogether in order to have life exist. The expansion speeds and the matter distribution of the cosmic web, along with the galaxy clusters, must also be fine-tuned. This is the section where we explore the most amazing of all fine-tuning in the cosmos. Zooming out from the Milky Way galaxy, we arrive at the local group of galaxies, and the super, and super clusters of galaxies far beyond. If we are too close to the middle of any of these clusters, we will be caught in a gravitational tug-of-war, which will distort the shape, not to mention the dust and gas distribution of the Milky Way. We also wouldn't get the right dust and gas formation to get the Milky Way to begin with, if we were in the wrong place. Remember that the Earth needs 9 billion years of the exactly right dust and gas formation in order to get the elemental abundance that it has. On its largest scales, far past the observable universe, we see something we can only see through computer simulations: the cosmic web. This arching structure contains the entire universe, and it's arranged remarkably similar to the neural networks of the human brain. If we are in the wrong place here, we'll again be in danger of receiving inadequate building blocks or being torn to shreds by a tug-of-war. Timing is also particularly important to this, because if we are not formed at the right time, we will be pulled in by dark matter into another cluster of galaxies which cannot support life. Finally, the most impressive feat yet: the cosmic expansion. Since 10 to the negative 34 seconds after the creation event, the universe has been undergoing an incredible expansion. The expansion is governed by 2 factors: the mass density and the energy density. The energy density refers to the density of the mysterious dark energy. We aren't sure what dark energy is, that's why we call it dark, but it causes the universe to expand. The mass density refers to the density of matter, like everything we can see, dark matter, exotic matter, etc. Matter causes the universe to bend, which causes gravity, which slows down the expansion. Empty space houses this dark energy you see, so the amount and distribution of matter must be right, along with the size of space itself. This results in the amount of everything and its distribution needing to be fine-tuned on top of everything else. This has been fine-tuned to 1 part in 10 to the 200th power. That's 1 with 200 zeros after it. Hugh Ross explains more reasons why the universe must be fine-tuned. If the universe expanded too rapidly, matter would disperse so efficiently that none of it would clump together enough to form galaxies. If no galaxies form, no stars will form. If no stars will form, no planets will form. If no planets form, there's no place for life. On the other hand, if the universe expanded too slowly, matter would clump together so efficiently that all of it, the whole universe in fact, would collapse into a super dense lump before any solar-type stars could form, which is Creator in the Cosmos, page 196. This is a great point to make. Explaining the most well-fine-tuned thing in existence is something we should all know about, and it's certainly the feature that I would say if I had to choose one fine-tuned feature which reveals God. This is monumental, even though it's not something you can imagine or comprehend, even with analogy. The universe at large is fit for life. We know that no universe has come before, even if Alan Guth's multiverse idea is true. Ours was a part of the first generation of universes, so either way it came first try. This is made even more miraculous by the design of the very small things that make up reality. These small things include the strength of the fundamental forces, which results in getting the right molecules and electrons in various fields. The strength of the four fundamental forces determines everything from the masses of stars to the right size of atomic nuclei. The strength of electromagnetism relative to gravity determines how efficiently the nuclear furnace of stars will operate. Without the right ratio, the right amount and variety of the right kind of stars, you don't get, and the right elements to make life will also be missing. Another thing the electromagnetic force must be fine-tuned with is its strength, because if it's too much, then atoms will hang on to electrons too tightly, and if it's too little, then not at all. This would result in the sharing of electrons to make molecules impossible. Without the right molecules, you don't get a planet, never mind life. The other three forces are gravity, the strong force, and the weak force. All three of these must be fine-tuned. For the strong nuclear force, the balance is easy to see. It governs how strongly protons and neutrons stick together, and thus the wrong atoms or potentially only hydrogen would form if the force had the wrong strength. The balancing is very intricate on this. If the strength of the strong nuclear force were 4% stronger, then the diproton wouldn't form. If it were 10% weaker, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen would be impossible. As you can see, the strong force is very important. We seem to keep coming back to stars and molecules here, which is interesting, isn't it? I think the main takeaway from that realization is that the fundamental forces mostly influence molecular structure. The opposite of the strong force is of course the weak force. This is responsible for radioactive decay. Hugh Ross explains the significance of this. In the case of the weak nuclear force, the force that governs among other things the rates of radioactive decay, if it were much stronger than what we observe, then the universe's matter would quickly be converted into heavy elements. But if it were much weaker, then the universe's matter would remain in the form of just the lightest elements, which is Creator in the Cosmos, page 192. It's quite simple really. The creation of heavy elements is directly responsible for the changing of one element to another. What he didn't mention, at least not in that quote, is the impact of decay on Earth's radioactive isotopes. He does mention it earlier or later. If these decay at a rate too fast or too slow, plate tectonics and the changing of Earth's atmosphere will subsequently happen at the wrong rates. Finally, we have gravity. I think it is important to state that gravity is not a force. It's the curving of space-time downwards towards mass. We follow a straight line on the curve, and straight lines on curved geometries fall downwards. Gravity is responsible for how fast or slow a star's nuclear furnace will work, determining if it will be the right temperature and luminosity to permit the appearance of life in the only window that it can. Gravity is also responsible for how hard it is for blood to be pumped around our bodies, for how hard it is to stand up and walk. It is also responsible for forming the solar system and keeping it clumped together. You can also point to the electromagnetic force keeping Earth together because it binds the atoms together to make molecules. As you can see now, the entire cosmos, large, small, galaxy and solar system, along with the Earth itself, has been designed so we can survive and thrive. But there's one other way in which it has been designed which does not relate to our existence. Kid you not, the universe has been designed not only to be inhabited by humans, but to be observed by them too. You might think I've gone crazy, but remember what I said about the galaxy being in the right spot in its cluster, and the Earth being in the right spot in its galaxy? Well, one thing about that which I didn't mention is that it also allows us to observe the rest of the universe. Hugh Ross gives the details of how the Orion Nebula is placed rightly for our observational needs, and what the consequences would be if it were switched with the Tarantula Nebula. The Orion Nebula is barely visible to the naked eye as the middle star in the constellation Sword. It blocks out a section of the sky only as large as 2 moon diameters. Astronomers would face a major obstacle, however, if the Orion Nebula were exchanged for the Tarantula. If the Tarantula Nebula were as close to Earth as Orion, it would fill nearly 1/4 of the night sky. It would also shower Earth with enough light to cast shadows. That is why the universe is the way it is, page 86. This is enough to raise an eyebrow, but it gets better. The clusters of galaxies, whilst providing us with essential elements, also provides a window to the deepest parts of space. Dr. Hugh Ross explains again, in Why the Universe is the Way It Is, page 88. In the vast majority of clusters of galaxies, the galaxies are jammed tightly together, with much of the cluster space dominated by giant and supergiant galaxies. For such a galaxy cluster, an astronomer's point of view would be blocked by several adjacent galaxies that would fill large portions of the night sky. This is what I believe to be heavy evidence in favor of a creator. The fact that the universe is designed so we can observe it speaks more to me about God than the optimization for the universe so that we can survive. Because there's a purpose there, a purpose to be observed. Chance alone does not optimize something for a purpose, it's just chance and nothing more. If the design of the cosmos for our survival wasn't convincing enough of a creator, then I think this puts the final nail in the coffin. How can the universe, by chance, be designed so it can be optimally observed?